Welcome to the show that takes up no more than 5 minutes of your time, but could help you gain massive real estate knowledge. It's 5 Minutes in Real Estate with best-selling author Shane Willis.
Hello, it's Shane Willis, Pensacola real estate expert, bringing you today's episode with some loud lawnmowers in the background. I should be walking away from that as I'm walking around the corner here. Today we're going to talk about some myths, and I want to make sure that you get over to the Facebook page too. It's facebook.com/Shane Willis, the realtor. I'll be doing a live video. I got data in from the first half of the year for our area, Escambia, Santa Rosa County, and I've seen appreciation numbers. Where we were from last year, where we are now, that has actually dropped. That's a spoiler alert. What we've seen, the appreciation has dropped, but we're still positive. And I'll share with you those numbers today because it also was a Wall Street Journal article that came out and talking about how that's, pretty much normal around the country. Nice Mustang. Very loud Mustang. All kinds of background noise for you today. But today's episode, we're going to talk actually about 3 myths about today's real estate market, because I've been hearing this a lot. I think if you've been listening to the episode, you've been hearing me talk about it a little bit too. So the first one that I'm constantly hearing is we're heading for another bubble. We're heading for another bubble. Home prices have appreciated year over year for 76 straight months. That obviously means we're going to a bubble, right? No. That is a myth, and the reality is we are facing an inventory challenge. That's why prices have gone up. Supply is down, demand is up. That means prices have to continue to rise. That's why we've had 76 months. All right. Now, at the beginning of that 76 months, we had inventory up, but demand was extremely high because obviously we were coming out of the financial crisis. So demand was extremely high. Now, demand is still the same. It's dropped a little, but supply has dropped drastically. And with the news I'm going to talk about today on the Facebook page, you'll see that I think that demand is actually going to rise even. So we've got to get supply up some if we plan on doing much. So that's myth 1. Myth 2, rumored recession will lead to another housing market crash. I actually have an ad running right now on Facebook talking about the recession in 2020. There's a lot of economists that are projecting a small recession in 2020. You can't have a bull market was what I was going to say. The Wall Street was talking about how this bull market is now the longest bull market ever. The S&P just closed over 8,000 for the first time ever. The Dow's up over 26,000 ever. So we've had a bull run. It's time for a pullback, a slight pullback. I don't know. We got people I got everybody doing their yard this morning. It's time for a pullback. But is it going to equal a housing crisis? No. I've talked about that multiple times, and I want to say it again. Out of the last 6 economic slowdowns or recessions, 5 of them, prices in real estate rose. So no, just because we have an economic slowdown or a recession does not mean that prices are going to go down. That was just the last one where real estate was the one that led the recession. Right now, there's a whole lot of other reasons why we think you're probably going to see a slight recession or pullback in 2020. It has nothing to do with housing. So do I anticipate housing to go down during this recession? No. I anticipate it will continue to rise. Is it going to rise drastically, like double digits? No, I do not think so. I think it's going to be low single digits, but you're still going to see rise. So there's that myth. And myth number 3, which is becoming more and more prominent. And this is one of the things I'm going to talk about in today's live video, was housing affordability is becoming a crisis. If you look at the houses under 100,000 in both Escambia and Santa Rosa County, it is there is probably 1 month's inventory, maybe 1.5 month inventory. I have those numbers, I just can't remember off the top of my head as I'm sitting here walking the lot. So you've got that entry level that is becoming more and more difficult to get. It's funny because we talk about entry levels and it's usually under 100. We also talk about entry levels for other types of properties. I got a client right now looking at, let's turn around and walk this way so we don't run into that lawnmower. I got a client right now looking at the beach. They want to get Orange Beach Gulf Shores. They're wanting a 1 bedroom and they're wanting it on the Gulf, and they want to be able to rent it out. They told me, they said, listen, we really don't want to spend more than about $230. We'd like a concrete building. That's the entry level point. For that type of purchase, that's the entry level point. That entry level point is no more. I was looking at, Phoenix ones, trying to find some, and they're over 300. So we have seen those price appreciations happen, and I think some of those starter homes and even some of those downsize homes are becoming more and more difficult. Okay, but home prices have appreciated year over year, which has deterred demand some. But now that we're starting to see prices drop a little, inventory drop a little, we're starting to see stuff sit on the market a little bit longer. Remember, I was telling you a long time ago, as a seller, now would be the time to sell. You're starting to see stuff sit on the market a little longer now. Okay? The starter home market has appreciated at higher levels, 9.4% year over year than any other market. But as we're starting to see things slow, our demand is going to continue to rise. If we've only got 1.4 months worth of inventory and things are going to slow a little bit, and the demand starts to rise, that inventory can get under a month. So if you've got any of those properties, I've talked to some investors of mine that have bought single family residences and used them as rental properties for 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years. Now they're in the 150, 160. I've got one guy that, one of my clients, his friend of mine, bought a property, his first rental property ever. He picked up a HUD foreclosure for $82,000. He dropped about $10,000 into it. He's had it rented the entire time. Makes him nice cash flow every month. He only owes like 50 grand on the place, 40 grand on the place. That place is worth 160 all day long right now, if not 170. And he's only owned it about 5 years. So he's actually kicking around the idea of dropping that in the market because that price point is really, really hard to find right now. And it might be a good time to cash that out. So if you have those, as long as you can take the cash out and put it into something different. What he's looking at, he actually looked at a couple commercial buildings. So he's just looking at literally playing Monopoly. He's got about 4 or 5 of these, and they've got $80,000 to $100,000 worth of equity in each one of them. So if he can get $400,000 out on all these sales, help with because demand's so high, we don't suspect they'll sell on the market very long. And then he can pick up a commercial building that pays him more in cash flow than what these residential properties are. It makes sense for him. It makes sense to put it on the market, and it's helping this market. So if you've got any properties like that you are looking at maybe making those moves, give me a shout. Let's chat. Because I've got another client that actually looked at doing that, but the commercial property we looked at did not make sense for him. It just didn't. It was a great piece of property, loved it, just did not do the cash flow. And when you start to make those moves, it's literally all based on cash flow. It has no other basis. So if you've got some properties like that you're looking at maybe potentially making some changes, let's chat about it. It may take a while, it may take a year. But I wanted to put that out there today because, well, we are hitting a supply crisis, especially at that price point. All right. So I don't want to scare everybody, but we've got supply issues. And today, like I said, I'm going to go Facebook Live. I'm going to talk about the Wall Street Journal article where it says we have a slight decrease in appreciation. And I actually have the numbers for our area that I'm going to put up in the comments. So you can get all of that information if you get over to facebook.com/Shane Willis, the realtor. Make sure you hit like and follow. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a lot more with Facebook here soon. All right, that's all I got for you today. As always, if you haven't subscribed to get the tips, tricks, graphs, infographics, the emails, I'm going to send some of the stuff that I'm doing on Facebook Live out in the email. Get over to 5minutesinrealestate.com. It's 5minutesinrealestate.com. Like the Facebook page. like the player of choice. Subscribe to your podcast and your player of choice. Go to SoundCloud, go to YouTube, go to iTunes, go to Stitcher, go wherever. I think we're pretty much in all of them. And if you know of one that we're not on, let me know. Get over there, hit subscribe, give me a heart, give me a thumbs up, give me a like. And finally, if you found some value in this episode, and this was packed with information, if you found some value in this episode or any other episode, the one thing I ask is that you share it on social media. Hey, Mike, it's hump day. You have a good one.